Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with trouble on the horizon for air travelers, with a labor dispute already disrupting plans. CBC's Jason Vio explains.
With this strike looming, it is sending everyone into panic.
Air Canada has already begun canceling flights, with a strike set to happen at 1 a.m. this Saturday. If a strike happens, more than 10,000 Air Canada flight attendants will walk off the job, and that will affect roughly 130,000 customers each day. Travel agency employees are trying to find alternatives for flyers.
People have planned these vacations for months, and there's so much uncertainty right now. People don't even know if they can fly out yet.
At Windsor's airport, things aren't directly affected. That's because Jazz Aviation runs the flights. It's an Air Canada partner that won't be affected by a strike. But if you're using Jazz to get from Windsor to Toronto, there will likely be an impact on connections beyond Pearson.
These people aren't only booked on flights. They have cruises, they have non-refundable hotels, they have tours. There are so many things happening on the other end once that plane lands in destination.
So what Harding has been doing for her clients set to fly with Air Canada and call in a panic.
I had to go back and replace all the Air Canada. It's not going to be easy.
Is finding them another airline with refundable tickets. Air Canada has said it offered employees an increase of more than 38% in compensation. The union turned that down, saying it wants flight attendants to be paid for work before takeoff and after landing, things such as safety checks and assisting passengers.
Definitely pay your employees what they need to be paid. This is the second strike in a few years that has really impacted my traveling. So pay the people that are keeping us safe in the air.
If your Air Canada flight is canceled and was booked before Thursday, August 13th, Valente says you'll get a refund. Air Canada also says you can change your flight for free if it's for dates between August 21st and September 12th. Jason Vio, CBC News, Windsor.
We turn now to a trade conflict, but this time not between Canada and the U.S., but Canada and China. Dawson Chen digs into the impact of a heavy new tariff.
When Essex farmer Kevin Ross started growing canola in 2019, he never expected it would lead to him being asked about China-Canada trade relations.
I'm not an expert on international trade by any means, but I've been farming in Essex County all my life, so a good 40 years, and I've been growing canola in Essex County probably for about the last 6 years.
China is now hitting Canadian canola imports with a 75.8% duty. The move is widely being interpreted as retaliation for Canada's 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles. Ross says he and other growers in Essex County should not be directly impacted by the new duty. That's because canola from our region is bought and processed in Ontario. But the same cannot be said for the large majority of Canadian canola growers. They're established in the western provinces and depend on exporting to China for their livelihoods. Mike Van Mossau, an agriculture professor at the University of Guelph, says China buys around 2/3 of all the canola seeds that Canada produces, almost 6 million metric tons a year.
I think canola growers feel a bit like pawns in this geopolitical battle. If I was sitting on a canola farm in Western Canada, I'd be going, what do we do to deserve this?
It's not the first time Canada's canola trade with China has been a political pressure point. China previously restricted Canadian canola imports in 2019 after the CBSA in Vancouver detained Huawei executive Meng Wanzhou due to a U.S. extradition warrant. Harrow farmer Scott McLean doesn't claim any expertise in international diplomacy, but he devotes 50 to 80 acres of his farm to canola every year. He sympathizes with canola growers in Western Canada and believes the federal government should do more to help.
They need to step up and support the agricultural market and make sure there's a financial backstop that's real and accessible and something that's fair and equitable for the potential difficulties that would be created from these government rules. I'm not intelligent on the auto sector or the EV sector. I just know that if we're protecting the car industry or the EV industry and it has an impact on the farm, well, then the farm shouldn't be left out to hang in.
Dawson Chen, CBC News, Essex County.
Habitat for Humanity is making some changes to help more families access the home that they need. Jennifer LaGrassa has more.
Costly housing prices mean many can't afford to buy, especially in Windsor. The average house in the city is about $570,000, which could be supported by an income of about $140,000. But the average household in Windsor makes about $100,000 before taxes.
So your hardworking average family in Windsor, Essex can't access a home.
That's where Habitat for Humanity is stepping in. The charity builds and renovates homes for families in need. And it's now allowing more people to apply to receive a home by increasing its income eligibility to $135,000.
We looked at the market and we realized that there are so many people that are in need of housing that we had to up our game.
And one Windsor broker says even if families can get into the market, they're usually buying older homes that need a lot of work.
If the older homes are made of block, the blocks over the period of time might crack. So that leads to the water in the foundation. And older homes, definitely the roof will be older. You may need to repair it. Same way, the furnace and AC may be older, you may need to repair it. Your cost of maintenance goes up when you are buying the older home.
As for the Habitat for Humanity homes, there are other criteria that applicants must meet to qualify. Next year, the organization says it will build 18 homes, and it only has 7 families ready to receive one. So if you're in need, they're holding an information session on this at Amherstburg's Libro Credit Union branch on August 27th. Jennifer LaGrassa, CBC News, Windsor.
Colette Kennedy is here now for our first look at weather. How's it looking out there, Colette?
Pretty good. I mean, I'd say this is more like it for many. It's still a warm summer August day, but not quite as humid. So our temperatures have been in the upper 20s instead of in the 30s, and the humidex values in the lower 30s generally. So feels pretty good, and we're not going to stay here. We're going to get some warmth and humidity coming as we push into the weekend, but then things cool back down a little into Sunday. Dry conditions, though, with that ridge of high pressure in place. So overnight tonight, 17 for the low, and as we build towards Saturday, 30 for the high tomorrow, Katerina.
Thanks very much, Colette. Up next, the coming hurricane season in the Atlantic is expected to be more active than usual. It has some experts raising concerns about their ability to track and prepare for these often deadly storms. They say recent cuts by the Trump administration have left gaps in the collection of important data. Katie Nicholson explains.
This part of Florida was hit by 2 powerful storms 2 weeks apart last year. And as you can see, there's still a lot of cleaning up and rebuilding to do just as peak hurricane season ramps up here. But this year, scientists are worried that there may be significant gaps in important information about these storms as they churn toward the U.S. That's because of deep cuts at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and its National Weather Service. Hundreds of jobs and layers of expertise gone. That worries veteran meteorologist John Morales.
We're down 560 people in the U.S. National Weather Service. This is not allowing us to release our weather balloons as frequently as we would. Normally at any weather office, they're done twice a day. Now they're down to once or 0 times per day. That data feeds into our computer forecast models, but now we have gaps.
Last week, the Trump administration okayed the rehiring of 450 staff at the Weather Service, and it's been trying to fill other positions since the cuts, but it may not be in time for this hurricane season. John Cortines is a former senior NOAA administrator who's among the senior staffers who've recently retired.
It takes time to train people. It takes time to acclimate them to the kinds of things that the Weather Service does and the weather in the various areas and regions that they'll be responsible for.
There are also fears the staffing cuts may affect hurricane hunter flights, those planes that fly into the storms to gather crucial data that helps researchers and forecasters figure out where the storm is tracking and where it will impact and how hard. Pete Gomez is the director of emergency management in Miami-Dade County.
Well, if we're not getting timely, accurate information, then we can't make timely, accurate decisions. So it's important for us to get it as quickly as possible so we can get the message out to the public.
There are implications in all of this for Canada as well. After all, NOAA shares an awful lot of information with Environment and Climate Change Canada, particularly during hurricane season. Environment Canada has told us it has developed a contingency plan if there become issues with the ability to get information from NOAA. It's going to work with other hydrometeorological organizations as well as the World Meteorological Organization. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Treasure Island, Florida.
In other news, new research shows how moving to a pedestrian-friendly neighborhood can be a step toward a healthier lifestyle. It shows that walkable cities increase accessibility and tend to boost physical activities. Alison Northcott explains.
This is one of Montreal's most walkable areas.
I've never had a car the whole time I've lived in Montreal, so we walk everywhere.
With grocery stores, parks, and public transit, it's easy to get around without a car. And a new study in the journal Nature has found when people move to more walkable U.S. cities, they increase their level of physical activity by about 1,100 steps a day.
Your city can help make you healthier. The design of your city impacts how much you walk, and as a result, your health.
The study used smartphone data from more than 5,000 people, giving researchers before and after snapshots of how each person changed their habits. This epidemiologist says it adds to other Canadian research looking at health benefits of walkable cities.
We've been involved in many of them that have shown decreased risk of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, prediabetes, also mental health benefits.
In Peel region west of Toronto, many communities are car dependent, and there's a high prevalence of diabetes. Health officials want to give residents a chance to build physical activity into their daily lives.
Connectivity to streets, walking through the communities, having sidewalks, and having bike lane options as well too. And this is where public health and local planners need to work closely together to improve the health of the residents.
In this Calgary suburb, residents are used to driving.
That's just part of living here.
And having more nearby amenities isn't necessarily what she wants.
Before, like the strip mall there with like the daycare and things were in it, one thing that we appreciated was that really if you didn't live here, there was no reason to drive up here.
Still, the study's authors hope their findings will influence how cities are designed, while reflecting what residents want and what could make them healthier. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
This summer's list of top movies might make you feel nostalgic. Remakes and reboots are dominating the box office. Ali Chiasson explains.
From How to Train Your Dragon to Freakier Friday, Happy Gilmore 2 and The Naked Gun. For box office hits in the summertime, Hollywood is almost all remake, reboot, and recycle.
As long as they're interesting, I say go for it. I'm gonna give you to the count of 3, Stitch.
The Lilo and Stitch live-action remake, first movie to gross $1 billion this year. The Happy Gilmore sequel smashed Netflix records. Nearly 47 million people watched in the first 3 days.
People like what they like.
That's exactly why studios can be risk-averse, some calling sequels box office insurance.
They love the tried and true in those known brands. Movie theaters within that 18 weeks of the summer, that generates close to 40% of the total year North American box office.
I'm really hoping this is a hit.
Freakier Friday sure was.
Any other ideas?
The Lindsay Lohan, Jamie Lee Curtis reboot was number 2 at the box office opening weekend, grossing $29 million. For director Nisha Ganatra, the nostalgia was nice.
I think it's a craving people are having for, connection.
Come on! The connection and the cash, both driving demand. It wasn't until studio execs called How to Train Your Dragon director Dean Dubois that he even considered another sequel.
This idea of a live-action reimagining, which to me was like, okay.
What about the perceived lack of originality?
It's rare that you find true originals out there, but we are seeing it. Look at Sinners, how well that film did. Weapons, F1 is an original.
Next month's Toronto International Film Festival will usher in new original movies, but with another Avatar, Spider-Man, and Devil Wears Prada in the works, reboots and remakes are hardly a thing of the past. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
A live look outside, and we will have more from Colette after later on in the program on your weekend forecast. But before that, when we come back, protesters continue to fight for an end to the war in Gaza. That's coming up. Welcome back. The group Windsor for Palestine held a demonstration along Riverside Drive this afternoon. Dozens turned out, waving Palestinian flags and chanting. They are part of ongoing protests to put an end to the war in Gaza.
I have family members that are there. My grandmother, who's over 80, who's trying to escape from one zone to another, unable to walk at this point. They're all extremely exhausted, fainting because they're being starved right now. They have no water. Right now, they have no food. They're actually giving each other salt water to kind of calm down their hunger. I cannot even recognize how my grandmother looks now. In a span of 2 years, she must have aged 30 years on how she looks. She is not even recognizable. And it's sad because we're watching this the entire 2 years go by, and we feel so helpless, paralyzed, and Canada fails to do what it's asked of it to do to stop the genocide.
I'm actually Palestinian born in the Gaza Strip. I have a significant family in the Gaza Strip who are right now, I don't know how to describe their situation. We have a family home that has been demolished by the bombardment. So now they're scattered in tents all over the place. They're starving, they're hungry. They and us, we're all fed up with this genocide. We just want it to end.
People are starting to wake up. I believe so because of what I see on social media, what I see, in things that I read. So there is a little bit of hope there. There's hope.
Meanwhile, Israel says it is moving ahead with controversial plans to build thousands of new homes in the occupied West Bank. The United Nations is urging Israel to reverse its decision, saying the settlements go against international law, something Israel rejects. Susan Ormiston reports from Jerusalem.
Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich provoked a political storm. Whoever in the world is trying to recognize a Palestinian state, he said, will receive our answer on the ground. Furthering plans to build more than 3,000 homes in a controversial E1 area, which would divide the West Bank and cut it off from East Jerusalem. It buries the idea of a Palestinian state, said Smotrich, because there's nothing to recognize and no one to recognize.
Canada intends to recognize the state of Palestine.
A swipe at Canada, the UK, France, and Australia, who recently moved to recognize a Palestinian state in September. In Ramallah, strong rebuke.
Our reaction is we refuse it profusely. Profusely. We do not accept any kind of partition or any kind of annexation of any meter in Palestine.
At a bazaar in Hebron, this Palestinian said it's a pattern.
Because if we look at the future and we see these Smotrich and Ben-Gvir and his government statements, we see that their plan is to kick us out. They said it clearly, but also it makes us see that we don't have a future here, and that's what they exactly want us to see.
While the war rages in Gaza, drawing much of the world's attention, expansion of Israeli settlements has grown in the occupied West Bank, wedged between Palestinian towns.
Smotrich is able to push these steps and to promote his policies because there are no consequences. So if Israeli policymakers don't face consequences for this huge violation of international law, then it will go ahead.
Canada sanctioned Minister Smotrich last June for what it said were repeated incitements of violence in Palestinian communities. And last month, it said it opposed advancing E1 settlement. But final approval could come next week. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, Jerusalem.
Wildfires are continuing to burn out of control in several parts of this country. Thousands of people in eastern Canada are under evacuation orders, and many more have been placed on high alert. In Newfoundland and Labrador, the largest fire in Conception Bay grew almost 1,500 hectares in the last 24 hours. Officials say Kingston Fire has destroyed about 100 homes in the area. Conditions remain too dangerous for crews to accurately assess the damage. And it is the largest fire in the province and now covers more than 8,000 hectares. Stay with us. We will be right back with Colette Kennedy after the break. Colette Kennedy is back now for more on weather. Colette, the heat a lot more tolerable today. Still hot, but more manageable. But as you warned us earlier, looks like that's not going to be the case for too long again.
Yeah, we're going to go up again and then kind of sort of ease back down to something more comfortable again. So yes, we still have some ups and downs to go. And, you know, it's all a matter of your perspective, right? When we're talking about how it's so much more comfortable, just compared to where we were. I know it's not comfortable for everyone, but just giving you that comparison of a normal high of 26, now it's at 26, and 16 is the normal low. Well, today's high was a little closer to that, and at least that low temperature was in the teens. So we weren't that far off, really. And there's certainly some cooler air pooling towards the north, but we are more inclined to be getting into some of this heat that's coming in just for the next couple of days, Friday and then Saturday, and then sort of back close to normal. After that, your readings are cooler along the shores of Lake Huron that you're seeing there due to the direction of the wind. And in terms of the humidex values not having a big impact there, everyone at least at 30, if not a little bit more. In Windsor, we're at 33. We were up at 34, but not quite mid-30s for that humidex value. The dry conditions prevail. It's like it becomes an exercise in searching for any chance to get some rain or significant rain coming into southern and eastern Ontario. Many parts of the country we know need this desperately. And as we move through with high pressure in place the next few days, so Friday we'll have sunny conditions. It actually makes for very lovely weather. It's just not quite what we need right now. Into Saturday, much of the day is probably pretty good too if you're trying to make some plans. And why I phrase it like that is there will be ahead of the next system coming through a chance, especially with the buoyant air because it does become more humid on Saturday, of a couple of pop-ups perhaps coming into the afternoon. The chance is there, all right? This is 5 p.m. so you could see that could put a bit of a damper on your plans, but then even behind that, likely the sun would come back out again. The next bit of moisture would be more like overnight Saturday into Sunday, and a better chance for some scattered showers on Sunday. This far out, you know, these models don't tend to be that accurate, but again, I'm searching for rainfall, and even from this into the weekend, it's only wanting to give us maybe, you know, 10 millimeters, 5 to 10 millimeters. So we'll see on that. But do know after the heat of Saturday that the temperatures do come back down, but also, Katerina, the humidity.
Of course. Thank you so much, as always, Colette, and thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good night.